Good people, good people. It's another Wednesday night. We got the NBA Finals going on. I get it, but the boys are here. We here to talk Philadelphia Eagles with y'all, even during the off season. Every week we bring you all the news and notes from the world of the Eagles, because that's what we do. You know what I'm saying? Had a sign this week, a couple other pieces of news. Go over the updated roster, and we're gonna talk to you a little bit about Game Two from last year, right? Just kind of review what's been happening, slide a little bit into what is going to happen for the new season, and kind of do that all at one time. Try and get the hat straight. Y'all know how it be. Sometimes I might have to flip the background in a minute. We'll see how it go. But joining me as always is that guy Wyatt. What up, man?
What's going on, Eagles Nation? Some news in here in the offseason to talk about. We had a signing over the week here. And like you mentioned, everything else we're going to be talking about tonight. So we have a full show plan. I'm ready to get into it.
You already know. You already know. First comment, Philly, Philly. Good evening, Eagles fam. Good evening, Philly, Philly.
What's going on, Philly, Philly?
And my man, my co-host for Monarchs of Wrestling, my boy Playmaker in the building.
What's up,
With the
Playmaker?
Eagles Elite, hashtag be elite.
That's what's up.
That's what I'm talking about. This is how you know people rock with you. Got the show on TV and the finals on the other TV.
We
You know what
appreciate
I'm
that.
saying? Absolutely. We ain't gonna take up about an hour of your time. We're gonna let you get to most of the final look at the meat and potatoes. But hey, we gotta give you a little something this week because every week stuff is popping off.
Absolutely.
So Wyatt, man, you know how we start this thing. It ain't nothing new. They know how we start this thing. Any news or rumors?
Yeah, we got some actual news here from the Philadelphia Eagles. We actually ended up signing yet another cornerback to the roster. We have a ton of them at this point. We're just trying to make sure we got this position locked down going into the season after last season. We signed Perry Nickerson, who actually played slot corner for Vic Fangio last year with the Miami Dolphins. So it seemed like he had some good rapport with the defensive coordinator. Maybe that's he obviously wanted him to bring him in. There must have been something he liked about him. We got a ton of depth, though, at CB here. It's going to be hard to make that roster.
Yeah, but we do need camp bodies. So,
True. You're
I'm
right.
not
You're
mad
right.
at it at all. I'm not mad at it at all.
But yeah,
All
there
right. Any
was
other news?
rumors.
Anything you got for us, man?
Yeah, there was rumors about us not bringing the Kelly Greens back this season. Apparently, there was rumors like Darius Slay said we weren't going to do it, and then I guess like the Philly Inquirer actually had a source within the Eagles organization that said, "Nah, we definitely bringing that Kelly Green back," which is like it wouldn't have made any sense not to do it after the success of it last year, selling all those jerseys and everybody coming out selling out those games and whatnot, and actually doing a field up with the Kelly Green, all that. Like at this point, I feel like it needs to be a yearly thing, if not add more games to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, we gotta have that, man. We gotta have them Kelly Greens. We gotta get the blacks. You know what I'm saying? Be dressed in all black like the Omen, all that. We gotta get all that going on.
Yeah, especially
You know
with
what I'm saying?
them adding that helmet rule where you can have like what 2 or 3 helmets now, so we can have the
Three
all
helmets.
black helmets too.
Starting this year, you got three helmets.
Exactly. So we can have the all blacks, have the Kelly green, and then of
Kelly
course like
Green
the
jump
regular midnight green
and the
stuff.
regular jump.
Yeah, it's gonna be fire.
Yeah, of course. Yes, sir. And there is one other thing that we definitely have to make sure that we discuss.
Mhm.
First round cornerback Quinyon Mitchell put pen to paper. He signed, y'all.
Mhm.
He signs for all the people that was worried about him and all that. You can relax now. He has signed his rookie contract. He's 4 years, 5th year team option, just like every rookie. So you can relax now. He is in the fold, officially signed, sealed, and delivered. He's
The
an Eagle,
future is
and he's
now.
going to compete with Isaiah Rogers. Yep, he's going to compete for that starting corner spot across from Darius Slay with Isaiah Rogers and Keely Ringo. So he's going to have an
Mhm.
opportunity. I don't think he's going to be out Isaiah Rogers. I like Keely Ringo, and I think he may be a guy for our future. Him between him and Quinyon Mitchell at Darius Slay spot when Darius Slay is done.
Mhm.
But from everything I've been hearing, I don't know how you going to beat out Isaiah Rogers. You put them on first team, second team, in between team. He's just getting it. He's just focused on, like, I had a year off. I made a bad decision. It hurt me, and I ain't doing that no more.
Yeah. Which just sucks
And I
he was
love
out for a season, but you think it could probably help in the long run. You're not taking that physical toll on your body for a whole season. Hopefully that means he can stay healthy throughout this season.
it. Right. And then also on top of that, when you're out like that, a lot of times you miss out on things. A lot of times you're not the same player. But he said he approached it
True.
just like he was actually playing. So he was out there doing drills and everything. He was getting it just like somebody who actually was on the field with the team. So I think that's a big part of what he was able to do and how he was able to compete this year and show up and be ready.
Yeah. I
You
remember
know,
seeing like all last season and whatnot of like like just on social media, Twitter, what have you, Instagram, of like him posting videos in an Eagles helmet, just working out and training in his backyard and what have you. It was pretty cool.
yeah, he said, I mean, you feel like ready to compete, and he did. So really excited to hear that. A lot going on here. Now there's a piece of non-Eagles news, but it's still Eagles news too. So the cover athlete for Madden 25 has been announced, and it's Christian McCaffrey, running back from the 49ers. So we all know about the Madden curse, right? We all know about the Madden curse. So relieved for me that none of our guys are on there.
Yeah. If anything, like how they do like the multiple editions, like maybe make a deluxe edition and do something like Jason Kelsey or something. That'd be kind of cool. But I don't know if they'll actually do it or not.
League wide, I don't think the player wide, I don't think he's sexy enough. Not him personally, but the position and who he is to be
I mean,
on.
he was in the running for sexiest man alive. I don't know what you're talking about. Cool.
Right, but not him as a person, but like him as
I know,
a
just
player.
joking with you, man.
I don't think he was sexy enough, to make that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but glad. So another piece of news here is Jeffrey Lurie might be willing to take on some minority stakeholders in the franchise. They haven't decided what that'll be. It wouldn't be enough to get any majority control, but maybe say like 5-10%, to get some more working capital for the team and get some partners into the organization. The last valuation, the team is worth more than $7.5 billion. So yeah, it's going to take a little bit to buy into it, right? Because of how much it's worth, but just the fact that he's actually interested in possibly taking on minority owners. I mean, he hasn't done this
It's big
since he
news.
bought the team in May of 1994. Yep, he bought the team for 185 million and it's worth over 7.5 billion.
Jeez, we need to get Eagles Elite up in here. We own like a 0.0007% of the Philadelphia Eagles or something.
I don't even think we could afford that.
Probably not, man. Probably not.
But it would be, man. It would be nice. Any thoughts on him selling a portion of the team, just the minority stakes, of course? But any thoughts on that?
It's interesting, I don't know. I don't know what's going to be like come of it, down the line, like 10 years, 20 years. Hopefully they keep the organization within the Lurie family. I know that he's been kind of, for lack of a better term, like grooming his son to take over for him, in the long run. So I'm not sure if that's still the plan or what they're actually planning on doing eventually. Like say if Jeffrey actually ends up stepping down at some point, or, he just ends up getting too old for it. He's done. I don't know. I would like to see it stay within the Lurie family just because, we've seen other franchises and what happened to them. Like if they sell the team and they go down a rough road for who knows how many years, it's like, it seemed like under Jeffrey Lurie, we've had some a lot of success really since he's bought the team. There's been some down years, but overall, I feel like we've had overall good years. I mean, we won a Super Bowl under him. So, I mean, I would much rather have, keep the ownership the way it is. I mean, I'm glad to hear that it's not going to be a majority stake or anything like that. But I'm hopefully in the long run, they actually keep it just under the Lurie family and everything. And, his son's been with him for how many years now, learning the ropes, learning everything within the organization. So hopefully it can just be kind of a smooth transition over to him whenever that time comes.
So why it's going high level, y'all, I'm gonna keep it on a more basic level for you. I think it's a great idea because it gives them the ability to get injections of funds into the organization in a large amount. It does take away a portion of the long-term revenue because obviously you're 5% shareholder, 1% or whatever. You're gonna get a little piece of profits and things that are made over time. So it's like buying stock in the Eagles essentially.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's a great idea. The organization's on the way up, so you have that opportunity to do so while you're valued very high. You can do so. That way you can pull a little bit of money out, do some other things you might want to do, maybe some renovations to the stadium, pay for all these uniforms, all these helmets, you know what I'm saying, all this different
That way
stuff.
it's
So
not just on Jeffrey Lurie.
right now, while you're traveling, you got to get armored cars to travel reportedly, and we could talk about that next. What we're hearing about Brazil, but just I think it's a great idea just because of that aspect. It's like you're selling some pieces of Eagle stock, but you're selling very few pieces, so you can still maintain most of the control, but you're getting those injections of income into the organization when you're at a time where you may want to do some renovations to the stadium, do some other things with the team, and this gives you more working capital because you look at the valuation. And what you have to understand is that means that's what he's worth, not necessarily what he has on hand that he can spend.
Mm-hmm.
So this gives him, maybe some more flexibility and some more leeway in that. So, I love that for the short term. Long term, we have to see if his son is someone who would be able to take over. If not, I'd rather him sell the team if his son's not capable. But if he's capable, love for it to stay where it's at because I think they've been, for the most part, hands off. So, they're not one of the ownership teams that have made you kind of be like, what in the world are they doing? A couple of things you kind of like, I don't know why maybe you did that, but that's what everyday life. So nothing big or nothing major to me, but just excited that little bit sprinkle of income he kind of getting in with still maintaining all the control and everything. I think it's a good idea. It's kind of like what the Dolphins did. They sold, like with 5% shares to different people. Not enough where anybody could get together and say, hey, we're going to take over the team, but shots of funds into it with the risk of losing a little bit of your long term. So it's not a bad.
I think the Packers is just completely owned by like a ton of people. It's not even owned by like one person.
No, they don't have a owner because of how the Packers were set up.
Yeah.
It only works for the Packers, so they wouldn't work for anyone else. The organization that's named after Fudge Packers is the only people that will work for. Oh yeah, we play Green Bay week 1. So Green Bay, you know what's coming. The first week, the last week of the preseason, before the first game, we're gonna get into it. We'll have one, maybe 2 Green Bay guests. I'm gonna see this year, so we're gonna do a little different. See, we can get a couple of people on because they're gonna need help to come up on Eagles Elite and try to talk about another team. They're gonna need a little backup. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to set them up so they can have a little another little friend for the teams we can get 2 people for, and hey, have some fun with it. All right, man. So we're gonna do it this way, y'all. Split things up, make it a little relaxationable for everybody in case you need to run to the bathroom real quick or whatever. You don't have to miss any of the show. We're gonna go ahead and take our first commercial break, and then we'll be back to talk some more Philadelphia Eagles.
Rams fans all around the world.
It's a beautiful thing to be a Rams fan right now. Stafford's back. We're going to see about Kupp. And running back Kyren Williams to return.
Lend me your ears, or should I say lend Playmaker your ears, as he breaks down week by week everything in the Los Angeles Rams canon.
Number 99, Aaron Donald. Can't wait for 2029 to come.
to know that you are going in the Hall of Fame, and it should be first ballot, no questions asked.
Join the Playmaker as he breaks down everything Los Angeles Rams style in Ramily Talk on the Playmakers Blog Network YouTube channel and where you can find podcasts. Join Ryan McCarthy.
I became a Jets fan because Kurt the Frog was my favorite Muppet because he was green, and the Jets wore green. That's how I became a Jets fan.
And Dustin Henry.
ESPN is cashing all in on let's pay a few personalities and we'll just kind of fill in the gaps.
As they walk you through all of the world of sports from their perspective.
The Albany Empire, it's a literal circus.
No credentials required. Where, Ryan, say the tag.
Where you don't need a press pass to talk sports.
Live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Oh, yes. The tradition, the pageantry, the spectacle, the history, the slut. Wait. I gotta rep my brother's stuff right. All my DMV soldiers, stand up! And welcome to the Commander's Gridiron Report. You want your commanders to be repped right? Well, D. Willie is your man. Commander's Gridiron Report. Every Tuesday at 11:05 a.m. Eastern, 10:05 a.m. Central on the Sotoba Media YouTube channel. Music by Drew Willingham.
In this case, yeah, you put the blame on Kyle Shanahan for apparently not preparing the team enough for the overtime rules, supposedly.
Cole Johnson.
Peyton was considered the winner, and he was the darling of all darlings for Gerald.
With a special appearance by Tyrone Alizé McDummy.
Ain't nobody calling me. Text delete.
Join these two football enthusiasts as they give you Total Football Talk. Live every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central on the Sotoba Media and the Comey Media YouTube channels.
All right, good people, we're back in the building. Shout out to 502 Angel Radio, who you will also be hearing the Eagles Elite podcast on. Excited about that. But hey, we back in the building. Time to keep talking the best team in the NFL.
Yes, sir.
Championships. They cheat for half of them anyway. We're the best team. And you cannot convince me otherwise. But to not get on a tangent of digression tonight, keep it moving. So, we know the first game of the year, we're going to talk about it as we get closer, but a big piece of news that came out this week is that players were informed they cannot wear green, not because Brazil's rival team wears green, which is what we were originally told, but because there's a prominent gang in Brazil who wears green. So they've been advised not to wear green. So, I mean, I've said it several times. The easiest solution is for the Eagles to wear their black jersey and Green Bay to wear their ugly yellow and blue jersey that they have. Right? Or they wear their white, you know what I'm saying, with the little bit of green on it. And maybe they put yellow letters on the game or something like that.
It has like that yellow circle in the middle. It looks looks gross.
Yeah, something like that. They'll have to do something where they're wearing something different. But that's the solution, I think, to the issue. They'll have to travel by armored cars.
Yeah, they can't go out anywhere or anything. They have to stay in the hotels.
Yep. It's a question in the hotels, all kinds of things.
It's like, why are we doing this? What's the point of this then? Like, I don't understand why we play in Brazil if you're not allowed. And not only that, why'd you pick two teams that have green in their color if you're not allowed to? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you could have had the Queef play there, you know.
Ridiculous.
The Arlington football team could have played there.
Yeah.
But man, you know, they do these things. Not the wisest thing, I think, for the teams. both teams. It's concerns for like their mental health while they're there for that, because that's crazy. As me as a
Yeah.
person, I'm thinking like as an individual, you got to be somewhere you can only go back and forth in armored vehicles. So you basically the hotel or the stadium the whole time. So I don't want to be there long. So if my game's on Friday, I don't want to get there till Thursday, maybe Thursday morning, Wednesday night, Thursday morning. I don't want to be
Mhm.
there long because I can't do anything. I can't get out. I can't just take a fall. I can't do anything because of all of the stuff that's happening. I'm going to put this mainly number one on the NFL. These are things that you should have made sure that you were aware of and that you had plans for early on. And number two, if it was that concerning, then you should have had the game somewhere else. Could
Facts.
have had the game in Canada or somewhere. There's, what I'm saying? Like, if it's not safe for players. So that's, we could go on that for about another 2-3 hours. But any thoughts that
Yeah.
you have, man?
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me, especially since all these news is coming out. I mean, because we did hear it. Who was it? Josh Jacobs. He was talking about it on the podcast. So I mean, who knows if it's true or not? Maybe they'll change some stuff up before the game, like a week or so before the game. Maybe they'll actually announce what they're supposed to be doing, what's going to happen. I don't know. I just thought it was strange. Like I mentioned, it was weird you picked the two teams that have green involved with their colors to go do this. And then it's not only that, it's the first week, it's the opening game of the season. Like
Well,
it's
the
the
second
first.
game, let's see.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's week one for both these teams. They have a lot on their mind going into this. Learning new
Yeah.
playbooks with new schemes and whatnot. I mean, you have preseason. You're not going to have a lot of the starters playing in preseason, most likely. So, I mean, I don't know. It just seems like a lot being piled onto this, and it just seems like it was unnecessary to do in week one. Like this is a type of game you could have had like middle of season or like after a bye week or something like that, or just not have it in Brazil at all. I mean, I was cool with the idea of Brazil when it was first announced, but like it just seems like the more that we learn about this, it's just like, why are we doing this to start? Like I saw AJ had a post about like maybe we just shouldn't be doing this at all. And it's like it makes sense. I feel like a lot of players are feeling that way at this point.
I get it, man. I definitely get it. So we will move on within the procedures of what we're doing today. So next thing we'll kind of give a little talk here about press conferences. So we've had our press conferences in the last two. We talked about some anything from the press conferences that previous or the ones that have happened since the last show that kind of stuck out to you.
Yeah, I actually I had a quote that was saved from Jordan Mailata. And I'm just gonna paraphrase it, but he was talking about with Jason Kelsey leaving that with that O line, there's big shoes to fill, and he knows that he's gonna have to be one of those guys that steps up and is a leader of that group of O linemen. And he's even though he's not the type of player, the exact type of personality as Jason is. He knows what he has to do to become a leader and fill those shoes going into the season here. And it's what we talked about all off season so far. It's just like how we need some of these guys to step up as leaders so we don't go astray and go the route that we did last year within the locker room.
Yeah. There's a couple of ones. A lot of the offensive players, Saquon Barkley, AJ, Devontae, Jalen, Dallas Goddard. One of the things they all talked about was how this new offense is like 95% or so different from last year.
Yeah, that's what Jalen said.
Yeah. So a lot of them talked about how much the differences was and how the differences of what they have, as far as the wide receivers, the route runners, the differences they have on like route run. There's trees now. There's not run 5 yards, turn up, and if you don't get the ball, then you just run across with something foolish, right? Or run out on screens and stuff. There's actually a real route tree like you should have that they didn't have last year. I think people don't really understand how terrible the play calling was last year. And I put that all on Nick Sirianni because he was the one that insisted that the plays that he wanted to be used. But there was a lot of just they should be able to do this, and they just couldn't because of how the plays were drawn up.
Mm-hmm.
But this coming season, we're going to be back to more of a traditional, offense as far as how it's run. We're going to have more motion so we can see where players go. Players are going to be actually playing different positions, not just talking about it all preseason, but actually doing it in game situations from what they're saying. They're practicing in different positions. They're going up against different guys. Mitchell's been going up against A.J. Brown sometime, because of where A.J.'s been at times when they're playing. So a lot of more consistency in the way that things are being done versus how they were being done previously. So that's exciting to me because it gives us the opportunity to have a diversified offense. If the run's working really well, we stick with the run. That stops working, or we want to switch it up, we go to the pass. The screen game still can be used, but not all the time, right? And you can run when you have an offensive coordinator that knows how to actually call plays and what to do, and he's actually using the playbook that he knows. He can make adjustments to it. He can be in your helmet like, hey, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. Make sure he lines up here, he lines up there. Like, you understand it. Our OC last year, he was running someone else's playbook. He wasn't able to run what he wanted to do. So he was disconnected from the playbook, but he's supposed to be the gap between the playbook and his players. So you see how that doesn't make sense. Those are the type of things that we had going on last year. That's craziness. But we don't have that anymore. We have more consistency. The guys seem to love Kellen Moore, at least so far. I mean, no one's being hit yet, no pads. So, we don't know how that's going to happen when the pads start. But so far, what we're getting is guys saying they really love the new system, the innovation, the ability to kind of adapt. So if the plays for you to run 3 yards and then you run an in route or a dig route, but you see that if you run that route one time, but next time you fake cut outside up 2 or 3 yards and then go outside, there's a big hole. The quarterbacks has the freedom to say, I see what's going to happen. Let me put the ball there. And there are going to be some times where you're going to look at it and say, why would he throw that ball there? The guy's not even there. And that's why it's an incomplete ball or interception, because they're assuming that each other is on the same wavelength. Last year, it was just everybody knew. But now you're asking them to make adaptations and changes from what everyone's been saying on the offensive side of the ball to the new scheme. So that's exciting. Now, defense, the people from last week that we talked about, as well as everybody else, are all saying the same things. They are loving Vic Fangio. They're loving the system that he's putting in. They're loving what he's doing to change, elevate the defense, how he's using guys actually in multiple positions. Again, not just talking about it, but actually doing it. Not just saying it at a press conference, but actually saying, we're going to do this on the field. We're going to put you guys in positions to have success on the field because that's what we're supposed to do. I'm all for it. I'm excited. As long as it continues into the regular season and the playoffs and hopefully to the Super Bowl, I'm with it. Now, what I do, everybody understand is, let's say we do have a great year. Let's say we end winning the Super Bowl or getting to the Super Bowl. We're probably going to have a new offensive coordinator in a year or two. I don't think Vic's going anywhere, but the offensive side of the ball, we may be changing again. That's another thing that people have to understand. And I'm not saying don't be successful so you can keep a coach, but I'm just saying you have to have the next guy that's being groomed all the time. So even though they're just starting, we need to be on Kellen Moore's side of the ball. We need to be identifying the guy who, if something happens and he moves on to a head coaching role, that somebody else is able to step in and continue what's happened in some way, shape, or form. Put their own spin on it, but continue what's happening. That's where the Eagles have felt in the past when we've been good, and that's why we went from sugar to sugar honey iced tea really quickly in the past. That's my whole take on what's been happening. Like, completely honest. No tomfoolery involved, maybe a little bit because I am a personification of tomfoolery at times. So perhaps a little bit of tomfoolery, but a lot of truth said in that too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like what Jalen was saying about just like it being like his whole offseason so far is just learning this offense that he has, and that over the course of training camp, OTAs, and everything, they're going to try to kind of switch it up to make it his own in a way, like figure out what's working, what doesn't work for him. And that way, they can all be on the same page going into the season, which is exactly what we should be doing regardless. You shouldn't have this should be common sense at this point. But after last season, it seems like everybody has to kind of double check what we're doing, make sure the proper checks and balances are in order.
As they should, sir. After last season, as they should, as they should. That's all I can really say. Last season was such a disappointment. That's all I can really say.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man. So we're gonna stop here. We're gonna drop another break. We hop back in. We're gonna first discuss the projected roster after mini camps and OTAs, and then after that, I take that last break, and then we'll hop into the debacle that was Game 2 of last year. So good people, it's time. It's time. It's break time.
Whether it's the men's college game,
the way that this season has been going, yeah, anything is possible.
the women's college game,
And how passionate Angel Reese was at that press conference, they got their mojo now.
the WNBA,
AJ Wilson on Twitter 1 and 2, followed by Brittany Griner, Aaliyah Boston, Jackie Young.
or the NBA.
The Lakers had a 0.8 chance of winning. And then what happened in the fourth quarter? LeBron James by himself outdid the Clippers.
You will get any and all of the information right at your fingertips or your earlobes. Join the Playmaker as he breaks down all things basketball in Shooting Lights Out on the Playmakers blog, network, YouTube channel, and where you can find podcasts. Cool McCain.
You thought you wanted Gunther against Chad Gable, but you didn't. And I'm going to tell you why. Chad Gable would take everything that Gunther's done and bury it.
The Playmaker.
It was on site. AJ Styles walked out there seeing LA like, oh, okay, then we LA Knight hopped out the car, let's go.
Break down everything in TNA, AEW, and all of the WWE programming. Join these two kings, monarchs of wrestling, live every Monday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central on the Play Caller Sports Talk YouTube channel. Whether it's news, the largest egg producer finds bird flu in chickens at a Texas plant, weather, devastating tornadoes rip through the heart of the United States, inspiration, a breast cancer survivor completed the journey of chemotherapy and now begins a future one of matrimony, or sports. Michael Jordan is shown on a photo with Diddy. LeBron James has a video extolling the virtues of a Diddy party. This has been yet another Beating a Dead Horse presentation. We got you covered. BS3 Network proudly presents The Morning Shift with Cole Johnson, live every weekday morning beginning April 29th at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central.
All right, good people, we are back in the building. So we got a comment from my guy King DV. You know, he like fam on this show. DV, what's up? He says, what's good, fam?
What up, DV?
What up, man? What up? So yeah, man, we're gonna go ahead and break down the projected 53-man roster after OTAs and Minicamp. So, you know, we went over this a couple of weeks ago, but now that we've had, you know, a little more insight, we're gonna slide back into this and see how things looking. So at quarterback, doesn't really seem like there's been any differences. We still got Jalen Hurts, Kenny Pickett, Tanner McKee. Of course, QB1 is Hurts, QB2 is Pickett, McKee's QB3. So a lot of people have been, oh, Jalen Hurts, blase this, blase that. You know, he hasn't been throwing as well as Kenny Pickett. Oh, man. So Jalen Hurts isn't throwing as well as Kenny Pickett in shorts and a red shirt. Oh, we're in so much trouble this season. Relax, guys. They're all learning a new offense. The ones that's going to be harder to throw against than the twos. It's it's going to take care of itself. It's going to get the camp. It's going to get the mental reps. It's going to get the physical reps. They're going to make sure that he's ready to go. And Kenny Pickett, in case anything happens and we need him. I would rather have Kenny Pickett in the game than Marcus Mariota. If something
Big
happens,
facts.
so definitely an upgrade. Definitely, without a doubt. Any thoughts from you, Mike?
Nah, man, I completely agree. I mean, we've been hearing all this noise out of OTAs, how great Kenny Pickett's been. We talked about it before when we went through the depth chart like this. I still think it's a possibility that he ends up getting as trade bait, gets traded eventually. If not, like you mentioned, I'm totally cool with him being a backup. I'd rather have him over Mariota, and heck, even over old mustache, old Uncle Rico dude from a couple years ago.
Yeah, I call him White
Minshew.
Goodman. White. All right, so running back room, we're running that. Nothing's changed there. Saquon, RB1, Kenneth Gainwell as the backup, and then Will Shipley as the third so far. So far right now, keeping 3 running backs, according to projections. Any thoughts, man?
I mean, you know how it is on the show for anybody who's been watching. You know, I'd rather flip-flop Will Shipley and Kenny Gainwell. Hopefully through training camp, they start to see that. Maybe Will Shipley start, balling out during training camp. They kind of flip-flop those 2 and 3 there. But, man, I'm still on the train. We need a big bruiser back to add to the roster at some point. I know they're not going to do it, but we need them.
Can't disagree with any of that. All right, then we'll go on to wide receiver, where the top 3 are A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Paris Campbell. Behind them, Britton Covey, John Wilson, and Nia Smith. I think there's slight changes on the end there. I don't know how Britton Covey's the first.
Maybe it's not in a particular order. Maybe.
It's not, but everything else seems to be in order. So I'm gonna say it is. But what I will say is simply this. I think we're seeing Paris Campbell kind of solidify himself as the number 3. Wilson and Smith might need a little time. We got to do something better than Covey, y'all. Unless he has made tremendous, unheard of steps from last season, we got to do something about that, about Britton Covey. That's real talk.
Yeah, unless he's on the roster just to do kick returns and punt returns. Unless that's the only reason he's on there.
We don't need him for that. We need to get him up out of here. Don't need that. We do just for kick returns. It's a waste of a spot. The 2 dudes behind him can do that. So we don't need him for that.
Hey, I completely agree.
Definitely can. But that's just, that's me. All right, so we're keeping 3 tight ends right now. It starts to make more sense than last time. Because now it's Dallas Goedert, Grant Calcaterra, and CJ Uzomah. Uzomah wasn't part of the top 3 last time, and Alberto is all top 3. So now we're starting to make some sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that sounds about right to me. I mean, you know how it seems like they really like Grant Calcaterra, but I would even consider just putting CJ Uzomah at 2 there as well, depending on what he has left in the tank.
Yeah, I mean, some of these spots, training camp might make some changes, but we're going to rock with what we got for now.
Mm-hmm.
So on the offensive line, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jerkins, Tyler Steen, Lane Johnson. That's your starting 5. Behind them, Mekhi Becton, Matt Hennessy, Fred Johnson, Trevor Keegan, Dylan McMahon. It's the next 5. And also, there was some talk earlier that they were trying to make Mekhi Becton and Tyler Steen have like a battle for the position. But Becton's been playing both guards and both tackle positions. So he is they're moving him around for flexibility purposes, not to take Tyler Steen's job. So stop that mess. I like it. Hennessy can be a backup center, or he can play some tackle. Like it's guys that can move around. So if somebody gets hurt, you can shuffle multiple guys in. You can put guys in different positions. You can do some different things. So I like that we're approaching it like let's keep our 10 best offensive linemen. We know who the starters pretty much are. Top 5 backups, who they are, and let's just make that work and get guys that can play a couple of positions. So we can keep one guy, maybe McMahon at the end there, and Keegan that we still need to work on some. But we've got the 3 guys in front of them that can play pretty much everything else. So you'd be good if something were to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts, man?
Yeah, I mean, Eagles have always prioritized O-line depth, and it seems like even though there's a lot of new faces here this year, it's nothing different here. I love the depth that we have, especially with Stoutland University in at the NovaCare complex. I have full trust in everybody there.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll move on to defensive edge. So these are your guys that are going to play technically outside linebacker. But depending on who it is and how you're playing them, they're going to play kind of like an edge as well. Those guys have Bryce Huff, Josh Sweat. Behind them, Nolan Smith, Brandon Graham, and Jalix Hunt. Hunt will definitely be the project here. I like Graham and Nolan Smith as the second unit because Smith did not get a lot of chances last year. He'll get chances this year, I think. And he's freaking huge. If you see him, man, he swallowed a bodybuilder this offseason. He's freaking huge.
That's what we need to be doing, man. That's what we expected out of him because everybody kind of compared him to a mini Hassan Reddick last season. We need him to be that dude this year, and then in the next couple of years, maybe take over that starting spot. Who knows?
And then you got Huff and Josh Sweat as starters. This will be Huff's first time as the full-time starting edge. Definitely was a better financial choice than Reddick.
Mm-hmm.
But Smith, Hunt back there as well as Sweat, who could be gone after this year too. This will be a year of we're giving guys an opportunity. We have some young guys who want to play, and then we got the OG BG in the building as well. But I think this is a position that we'll definitely have some turnover this year, and we'll definitely see some different faces next year. I think definitely in terms of Brandon Graham retiring, and I don't think Sweat will sign long term unless he has one of those seasons where we just have to figure out a way to keep him.
Yeah, it's a big prove it year for all of these guys. I mean, other than Brandon Graham, really. So, I mean, hopefully they're able to come out. I mean, this is something we've been wanting Josh Sweat to do for the past couple of years now. He's been showing flashes of greatness there, but can he really be that guy that we all wanted him to be here? And this is his last year, his 1-year deal that he signed last offseason. So, I don't know. We'll see what Sweaty can do here. And of course, with Bryce Huff as well, he's not going to be that. He hasn't been that full-time starter before, and he had a ton of sacks previously on limited reps. So, can he be that guy as well? There's a lot of question marks at this position, but I like the depth that we have.
Definitely. Defensive tackle, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis will be your starters. Milton Williams, Marlon Tupeludo, and Moro Ojomo will be the backups. We're only going to probably keep 5 under Vic Fangio because he likes for his guys to play a little bit more. What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I mean, I feel very comfortable with the DT rotation here because there's a lot of people we've already seen. I mean, Jalen Carter, he's expected to take that next step off of a really good rookie season. Looking at the back half, we kind of expect this from rookies, especially like defensive tackles or, O-linemen, something like that. They kind of get burnt out through the back half of the season. But Jordan Davis looks absolutely amazing with that conditioning he's been doing. Milton Williams, like we've mentioned before, has been getting better every season, every single year. Marion Tupelutu, he's been great. Morojomo has shown flashes of greatness through some of these games where he's getting limited reps. So, I mean, they got to step up, like I mentioned with these other guys on the edge, but I feel very comfortable with this defensive tackle rotation here.
All right, then linebacker, Devin White and Zach Bond look like the starters right now. Then you got Nakobe Dean, Oren Burks, and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Behind those guys.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, man?
I like it, man, especially with, everybody saying how great Devin White's been in OTAs. It's just a matter of will that translate out on the field against some of these teams we're playing. But I think it's good depth when we're finally taking the linebacker position seriously. And I think we have a little bit of depth as well, other than these guys that'll probably be on the practice squad, like Ben Van Summeren, who we saw played pretty decent last year. But of course, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., we don't really know what he's going to look like in the NFL. Nakobe Dean has some question marks there. But I think I like the depth that we have here, and I like what we're going to be able to do with him with Vic Fangio's scheme. It's just a matter of like Nakobe Dean, can he really take that next step? Can he be healthy type thing? And Devin White, he's got to, transfer this OTA play to the actual regulation games.
Man, you got to transfer him to training camp first.
Well, yeah, true. We ain't even there yet.
All right, and then cornerback, Darius Slay, Isaiah Rodgers, are slated as starters right now. Avonte Maddox will be the slot guy right now. Keely Ringo, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean would be the backups, and for some reason, Josh Job is on this list as well. Your thoughts on the cornerback?
Yeah, I mean, like mentioned at the beginning of the show, I really like the quarterback room we have. We have a lot of them there, and we have a lot of depth. I believe when we went through this list before, Vontae wasn't even on the roster. Josh Jobe wasn't on the roster. So it's interesting they kind of incorporated them back into there because we didn't know if Vontae was going to be like a rotating piece or like a backup or if he was going to be starting. Josh Jobe has no reason to be on this list whatsoever with the depth that we have at cornerback. I don't know why he's here. I don't understand it.
No comment. I'm not getting on that tangent today. So at safety, we got three guys: Reed Blankenship and CJGJ are starters. Sidney Brown's the only backup. But remember, throughout OTAs, Cooper, DeJean, and Avonte Maddox did take reps at safety as well. So those are guys that could maybe play both. So that would make sense why you're only keeping three if you've got a couple of versatile guys. And still don't understand how Josh Jobe is still on the list as somebody's projected to make this team. I don't understand it. We could go out, maybe if we cut a guy like Josh Jobe, maybe grab an Eddie Jackson that could kind of come in and be another safety to kind of push one of those, to make it less that those guys need to do, and then we could finally be rid of Josh Jobe. Just gonna put that out there because I think it should happen. Your thoughts on safety?
Yeah, I mean, I like what we got at safety here. Reed Blankenship's been really good for us. I mean, last year he was a little banged up, but I mean, CJGJ, he's a monster. He just got to stay healthy as well. Sidney Brown also. I think Sidney Brown's going to be a beast as long as he's on the field. I like our safety room so far.
Yeah, Sidney's just got to get all the way back, but he should be good before the season starts.
Yeah.
Special teams, Jake Elliott's our kicker. Braden Mann's our punter. And then Rick Laval is our long snapper. Nothing's changed there. I am good with that.
Jake Snake, he's the GOAT.
Yep. And then practice squad projected running back Kendall Milton, wide receivers Jay Harris and Joseph Nagata, tight end EJ Jenkins, offensive tackle Anim Dankwa, offensive guard Gottlieb Ayizi, edge Julian Okwara, edge Patrick Johnson, DT Hall, DT PJ Mustafa, your boy linebacker Ben Van Summeren, linebacker Brandon Smith, cornerback Tyler Hall, DB Mekhi Gardner, safety Tristan McCollum, and safety Andre Sam. I do think Mekhi Gardner would be good if he were able to be brought up as like one of those hybrid guys instead of Josh Jobe as well. Any last thoughts on those projected players?
No, I think this list is a little bit closer than what we're actually going to get than the last one we had. Hopefully, with the exception of Josh Jobe on there. But I like it either way.
As long as we don't have Josh Jobe, that makes me way
As long as
happier.
we don't have Josh Jobe, I like that list. Exactly.
Give me Bradbury over Josh Jobe, because at least for the half of the
Bradbury
game,
is safety.
tired. he's going to be better than Josh Jacobs. And I'm not saying that in an insulting way. I'm just being honest about it as a fan, but I'd rather see.
Yeah. Because we've actually seen him do something before.
Exactly. So we're going to take our last commercial break here, guys. And we're going to slide back through. And we're going to finish things up with a little conversation reviewing Game 2 from last year. Let's get it.
Get in the game at BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook. Over 50 sports, live betting, online casino, horse racing, esports, and more. Start now and enjoy easy deposits, fastest payouts, and the biggest bonuses. And for over 25 years, BetUS is a name you can trust. Mention TV 150 now and get up to 150% in bonuses. BetUS, we've got your game. Call or visit BetUS.com now to join.
Poppy J.
You got the option to cry for the government. You got the option to protest. You got the option to keep buying, but this is also an option.
Wise El Jefe.
We're the first tech geeks. We're the first gamers. We're the first everything. Everything. Like Gen X's, we are the ones.
BS3 Network proudly presents the crew from the New York boroughs who never wants that smoke. Nah, they want that fire. Poppy J and Wise El Jefe. Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Check your local listings. Join the transporter to Hades.
Your butt and gut becomes one.
Join the reformer of hooker whores.
This is my daughter, Placenta Booty Johnson.
Join the bronze car.
Whenever you are in distress, take off your baseball cap and throw it in the air.
Join your very own superhero of broadcasting, Chris Bass.
So whatever color crayon they get, they palm it and do 2 circles, and that translates to, I can beat up black people.
As he takes you through the week's paces in Baseline. Live every Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central, Pacific time zone people, just stay asleep when this is on live and just catch the recording. Oh, I'm sorry. Exclusively on the Chris Bass YouTube channel.
Everything Boston. I love you morons. You Kids from the Block, New Edition.
Dear whatever the law firm is. Sincerely, the U.S. Supreme Court.
Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Go yourself again, Jason Whitlock.
So, guys, a couple of comments here. So, Unc says, my bad, I'm late AF, but I'm in here now with my drink in my hand. All right, we feeling you, Unc. He says, Unc was waist deep in something sweet. Just saying, though. Hey, man, Unc, do the thing, Unc, do the thing. But shout out 502 Angel Radio. If you're watching, left the code up. If you're going to go on BetUS, if you use HTTP colon // bit.ly /Shady Sports Network -BetUS. It's a bit much, but if you use that code, or if you use that when you're going on to BetUS, you can still use whatever other codes are there. And your boys get a little bit of a kickback from BetUS. So good way to help your peoples keep things moving on this side over here. So if you're watching, are gonna do some betting, playoffs, baseball, hockey, WNBA, Olympics, all that. Use that site. Help the boys out. And again, HTTP colon // bit.ly /Shady Sports Network -BetUS. All right. So Wyatt, the part of the show that I am looking forward to the least. After the epic collapse that was last season, people like me and you, Diva, and other people started to be concerned with what we were seeing. early in the season. Starting game 2. Thoughts on game 2? We'll start with offense. What are your thoughts about the offense from game 2?
Man, it was a lot more of the same that we saw in week 1 against the Patriots. A lot of unnecessary sacks. Jalen Hurts was taken. Couldn't really decide whether he wanted to run or stand in the pocket and try to throw it. Sometimes he stood in the pocket a little too long, got sacked. Other times it's just poorly timed runs, going out to the outside, maybe getting a yard, maybe losing a couple yards as well. We see that through the whole game in this one. They try to run him as much as possible, and it's just not working. They decide to finally lean on DeAndre Swift through the back half of the game, and that's where you really get a lot of those yards racked up. He had 175 yards on 28 carries and a touchdown, DeAndre Swift, in this one, where, like, I think in week 1 he barely had any yards, which is crazy to me. But Jalen Hurts, he ended up with 193 yards, touchdown, and an interception. Terrible interception. Threw it in the double coverage. Poor decision making by Jalen Hurts through most of this game. He did have a lot of good throws to Devontae Smith, though. Devontae just had his game. I mean, a lot of people I remember were complaining about he wasn't getting any looks in week 1. He got damn near all the looks in this game because he was just getting wide open against his defense here. But yeah, it was just more of the same, and a lot of more of the same that we saw through the whole rest of the season without getting fixed. A lot of QB draws, weird runs. Like you alluded to earlier, whenever Jalen's sitting in the pocket, it doesn't seem like the receivers have anywhere to go. They're not scheming anybody open. He's just sitting there hoping that somebody gets open or trying to point someone open like it's backyard football or something like that. A lot of these signs of the downfall later in the season were present through game 1 and also game 2 here.
So this was prime time Kirk Cousins, right?
Mm-hmm.
We allowed 31 of 44, 364 touchdowns from Kirk Cousins. They didn't do much running the ball.
3 or 4 fumbles too.
They didn't do much running the ball, but they didn't need to do much run the ball because everybody Justin Jefferson caught a touchdown. Justin Jefferson had 11 for 159. Jordan Addison had 3 for 72 and a touchdown. TJ Hawkinson had 7 for 66 and 2 touchdowns. KJ Osborne had 3 for 34 and a touchdown. Why might you ask did all that happen? That is a great question, and I will answer that question for you very simply. Donut hole, donut hole, donut hole. And not necessarily always in the donut hole, but caused by how the donut hole was such a prevalent part of the defense. You could tell from this point. You go in the middle a couple of times, they try to adjust to that. It opens up on the outside. We got Justin Jefferson on one side, Jordan Addison on the other side, right? Just doing their thing, having to field it. So that's kind of what happened. Hawkinson, of course, with the 2 touchdowns, no surprise, being that he's a tight end going across the middle, which was very easy part of the defense to handle. Defensively for the Vikings, the one thing that they did do, they got some stops. Theo Jackson got an interception on Jalen Hurts, the one you talked about, of course, earlier. Nobody had a monster day, I would say, with tackles, but a lot of guys had solid days tackling. Swift definitely saved the Philadelphia Eagles. Hurts, 193 yards, a touchdown, and interception. Running the ball, DeAndre Swift only had 1 touchdown running the ball, but Jalen Hurts had 2 on 12 carries for 35 yards. We had 4 catches for 131 yards. A.J. Brown and a touchdown. A.J. Brown had the same 4 catches, but only had 29 yards. Dallas Goedert had the most catches on the team with 6, but he only managed 22 yards. Swift had 3 for 6. Penny had 1 for 5. We had a Penny sighting, which we didn't get a lot of those during the season. Right. We did get a sack on defense from Jordan Davis. So the big cat got him 1. We also got 1 from Josh Sweat in this game. No interceptions. But that's okay.
A lot of fumble pickups, though.
Did get some fumbles, but no interceptions. It's hard because I look at this game and we dominated total yards, dominated running yards, got dusted in passing yards. Uh, Minnesota actually averaged more yards per play, but they had less plays. They had 55. We had 75. So the stats even kind of told you that the Eagles had good yardage, but a lot of that was the running game. And we had more first downs. Another thing on the running game. Not the most efficient. We were 6 of 14 on third down, 1 of 1 on fourth down. We allowed 4 sacks and only sacked 2 times. They punted 3 times. We punted 4 times. They lost 4 fumbles. We didn't lose any fumbles. We did throw an interception. And then we dominated time of possession 39-20 to 20-32. So a lot tells you the Eagles should have blown this game out. But we didn't. 28-34. And this was the game where a lot of people were getting on me, but I started saying this is not going to be a good, long season if we continue to play like that. You could see things were headed in a bad direction. When your coach basically says, hey, I'm not really worried about things because we won the game, so all the other things were other things, but we won. But it was a hard win. I take wins. I said that then. But at the same time, you're looking toward the future and trying to be successful. And the goal last year, because the only thing we could have done better last year was win the Super Bowl. This year, the goal for me, win the playoff game. One step better than last year. I want more, but the goal has to be win a playoff game. That's the next level. That's all I got, man. Anything you want to add?
Not really, man. We pretty much covered it. I mean, just to add to the defense, I didn't really talk about them. Talk about the donut hole in the middle of the field, but you playing 10 yards back, you're not going to really be able to stop anybody. And even whenever you see a lot of these guys start pressing up on them, they're getting juked by the double moves and anything. So it didn't really matter what they were trying to do. They were getting burnt. No matter, like in the middle field, on the sides, whether they're pressing them, whether they were back a couple yards. Nothing was working, especially through that second half of the game. We were just getting toasted. And that's really where you're starting to see the cracks, or they're just not even the cracks, the holes on the defense as a whole.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that, man. Did win the game. You're supposed to win. So we did what we were supposed to do on that end. So, not to take anything away from what we did do, but just to kind of point out the things that should have been done a little bit better. And I believe there were a lot of those.
Yeah.
We hit game 3 next week. We'll continue on. Kind of going through the season, the ups, the downs, the good and the bad, because that's how you got to roll it. But also, man, we were 2-0 at this point. You got to enjoy the wins while you can. It took a while for us to lose, but when we lost, we lost. You know what I'm saying? We started losing.
Yeah.
But we're not there yet. So just a little forewarning for you, in case you've forgotten about last year. I don't think you have, but just in case. Good people. Pretty much have come to the end of things for the evening. We want to thank you for joining us as always. Please share the show, like the show, subscribe if you're watching the show or listening on any other platform besides Eagles Elite Podcast, which would be on YouTube, search bar at Eagles Elite Podcast. Please definitely hop over, give us a subscribe and a like. We could definitely use that. Want to try to get the show out to more people, and to do that, we do need you guys' assistance. Also, make sure you're here with us next week. We're still talking to off season. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, it's the off season, not as much going on." This is the Philadelphia freaking Eagles. There's always something going on, and we with it. We there. We trying to make it happen. Trying to get back to where we should have been last year, but baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. So, why? Any last words, man?
Yeah, I mean, the team was bad last year when we dreaded talking about wins and going into each week. But I'm excited to get back, talk about week 3 next week. Amongst hopefully there's some other breaking news to talk about next week going into it. But before we know it, it's going to be training camp. is right around the corner, and then the season. So, I'm super excited.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And, I'm always tell you, man, make sure you tell 4 of your friends and 4 of your enemies. Just because they don't like you doesn't mean they won't like us. And also, man, remember, it's never where you start. It's always where you finish. And of course, we're going to hit you with that Fly Eagles Fly.
Fly Eagles Fly. Hashtag
So people will see you back next week. Throat getting a little dry. It happens. But like I said earlier, Eagles are still the best team in the league, in my opinion.
Because that's the bottom line. Because Stone Cold said so.
I had to get one in for y'all. We out. We'll be back next week.